These are the supplies that you're going to need for the first portion of this tutorial. You can use a template if you wish, however you can make this whatever size you want. I'm going to be using my piece of faux leather. I'm going to be using a piece of fabric to line the inside, some elastic, heavy-duty scissors, something to poke a hole with, and then I may end up using some lace. And this is optional, but you can also use something like heat bond if you want to avoid sewing. I am going to sew mine today, but I will give instruction on how to use something like this or fabric glue in the place of sewing. We're going to go ahead and get started by cutting down our two pieces. Today I'm going to make a journal that is pretty close to a regular size traveler's notebook, a little bit bigger. So it's going to be 9 inches by 8.5 inches. So 9 inches by 8.5 inches. Now the reason why I wanted it to be 9 inches across so that when we fold it, that can give us around 1/2 inch of a spine. It's not going to be a typical spine, but it's going to give you enough room so that the signatures that you place inside can be a typical traveler's notebook size, which is 4.25 by 8 inches. I just personally like my notebooks to be a little bit bigger than the inside pages, so that's why we're not using a typical size. However, you can if you would like. I'm going to be using this template. If you don't want to print one out, you can make your own, and I'm simply just going to go ahead and use this and cut around very carefully. I'm actually going to do it from the inside. Once you have your faux leather cut, you can set it aside and go ahead and cut your fabric down to size. Now if you want, you can add pockets on your fabric. You could add a double pocket depending on what size you're using and depending if you want to bring in any additional fabrics and things like that. You can easily use your scraps to create a pocket. You have definitely enough to have a very simple pocket. You could do something where you line the pocket with some lace, or you can just have a simple inside. I'm deciding now if I want to sew lace directly onto my notebook, or you can also just add the lace on the inside notebooks. So now it's time to go ahead and attach the two together. I did go ahead and decide to add a pocket. This measures 9 inches by 3.5, which I had left over from my scraps. I'm just going to use this side right here, and I'm going to use a 9-inch piece of lace right across the top like so to have a really cute little pocket. And now it's time to go and adhere these together. Make sure to take your time and make sure that everything lines up as perfect as you can. And I'm going to start out by just sewing the liner on by itself. I am going to place this upside down because I want to make sure that I start my stitch on the outside, and I am going to have a little bit of extra, which is fine because I will trim that off. Alright, we're going to have to start again because my sewing machine was set at the wrong stitch. You can see how forgiving this material is, so don't feel bad if you have to do the same thing. So you're going to notice that this piece is actually a little bit bigger than my piece because I wanted to quickly get back into sewing. So just ignore that. I will trim it when we're done, and honestly it might be a little bit easier to do this way anyways. So now that you have your cover exactly how you want it, I'm happy with this. I'm happy with all of the strings. I want mine still to be kind of more of a junk journal than just a perfect traveler's notebook. You can now go ahead and punch your holes. And I'm going to go ahead and use my template. I'm just going to place it right on top. And then I'm going to use my awl, but you can use something like a, something that's sharp. And then just go ahead and poke your holes. We're not using an eyelet to set our holes. You do want your hole to be the smallest that it possibly can be to get your elastic in. So I just poked the holes, which you can't really see. You can kind of see right there and right there. And I'm going to go from the inside to the outside and just kind of work back and forth using something to poke my string through. Once you have it on the outside, you want to go ahead and string it back into the inside to that hole that's right next to it. Now that you have it on the inside, go ahead and kind of even things out so that your string can go all the way down to your bottom hole. You're going to string out to the bottom hole and then same thing back in. Now I'm going to just play around with my elastic just to get the right size that I need so that I can save the most elastic. You're really just going to want enough to be able to slip a signature underneath. So whether or not your signature is super fat, your spine of the signature is really what's going to be defining how much elastic you need. And you do want it to be pretty snug in there. So you really, again, you don't need too much slack, just a little extra. And if you want to play it safe, feel free to add, some extra so that you can adjust this later. And then go ahead and just tie this for now. I am going to leave a little bit of extra just in case, but there's not too many times when you need a whole lot extra. And so now we need our middle. So for this piece, I'm actually just going to use what I had left over. And you want to go ahead and fold it in half. And then what you're going to do is find that middle again. Is that it right there? And you're going to string that middle, kind of try to make it into a point if you can, through your hole. So again, you can kind of estimate how much you're going to need to go around. A good rule of thumb is just to pull it out enough to go to the center like that. And then you can tie this off. Of course, I'm going to try and save as much as I can. And just tie that into a double knot. And that's going to secure it so it doesn't get pulled back through. There we go, guys. So that is the base of the Traveler's Notebook. And remember that if you wanted, you can sew your pages in. This can be reversible. All you need to do is move these to the inside over here, and then you could have your fabric showing. So now it is time to put our inserts together, and I'm just going to show you a few little tips and tricks and decorating ideas for embellishing your printed digital pages here. These are from Mind Beretti Kit, and they are absolutely gorgeous. But I don't want to use mine as a meal planner. I simply want to focus on the retro theme. So I have other things that had come in the kit, and we're just gonna get started. So with this first one, I am thinking I'm gonna make like a little collage kind of thing here. I really want to incorporate the fabrics. I love adding different textures and things to my paper. And I'm not really thinking about this, I'm just gonna go. And I would most likely be using my sewing machine. However, I just want to kind of do this quick, and so I'm just going to use a stapler, which I also really like doing. Okay, so I'm just going to start out by gathering some fabric like this, and I'm covering up the menu ideas because, again, I want this to be more of a general theme than meal planner. However, I do think I'm going to actually make kind of a recipe book using these pages for a second idea. Okay, so I'm just bunching up this gorgeous fabric that came in the packs from Amore Fabrics, and of course we can't stop there. I'm going to also take some lace. You would have got a little pack of lace if you bought the physical kit, and I'm just going to trim off a piece there. Could use glue as well, but again, I kind of like the staples. So let's see, all kinds of fun little things in here. Ooh, I know what I'm going to use this one for. Okay, I think I'm actually going to use this ticket. This actually was a ticket that came on the Amore Fabrics packs, but I'm going to use mine as a fun little embellishment. And you can also make up little layered embellishments like this, you know, prior to decorating your pages, and then just have a bunch ready to go and just stick them on your pages. That's a really fun thing to do. Okay, so we do have staples back here, and I wouldn't always worry about covering that up, but I think for one quick idea, and I love making pockets out of the pages, so I think for this page, I am just going to go ahead and just line it like so. Again, I would use my sewing machine and just go all the way around, but because I want this to just be all no sew just for this idea, I'm just going to go ahead and add tape, double-sided tape all the way around the edges. Okay, I removed the backing there, and so I'm just going to line this up like so. I don't think I lined that up very good, but that's okay. Okay, so now we have that part covered, and we can use this as a pocket. So let's just move on to the next page, and I'm deciding what to do down here. I have some journaling cards and things like that, but let's see here. Oh, this might be cute. We could just kind of add this right here and have this be a tuck spot. I think maybe I'll do that, and I'm just going to use glue on this tag just so it won't go through to the other side with staples. I could have stapled this on prior if I had planned that out a little better, but I kind of like that because then it doesn't really cover up the cute little picture there. And then you can stick something behind there. You could stick like another tag, or I guess this would kind of cover up the picture, but you would still see it when you took your item out. I do have some buttons and things also from the Amore Fabrics, so let's go ahead and okay. Ooh, it would be really fun to sew these on. It would. So just so you guys know, that's what I would definitely use. I would sew them on if I wasn't filming a video. I just don't want the video to be super long for you guys, since I do have a ton of content for you guys to watch. Yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to use glue, and I do prefer hot glue with buttons. But again, just doing it kind of quick. Okay, so I like this little saying here. It says, if you want breakfast in bed, sleep in the kitchen. I'm just going to leave that because I think it's super cute. I think I will go ahead and add some lace to the edge here. Oh yeah, we have washi tape as well. That will be fun to use. So I'm going to go ahead and just add some glue on the edge here. This is one of my favorite ways to embellish pages is lace. You guys probably already know that. So I'm going to go ahead and just add that right there. So over on this page, I think over here, I love this just by itself. So that's the really cool thing about printed journal pages like this, is you really don't have to do a lot. I mean, you could just leave this if you wanted, but I'm going to add a little bit of washi tape just to add a little bit more dimension. And so I'm gonna put this, let's see here, maybe just down here. No, we'll do it right up here, like so. And then I'm just gonna leave this be. So let's move on to some other pages. For this next page, I'm thinking I'm going to use my glassine bag to kind of just cover up this center part since it says meals planned. And yeah, I'm just gonna do that. I'm gonna go ahead and just add some glue. And then I'll go ahead and, it does kind of cover up, but you know what, I feel like it works. I feel like it's all right. So I'm going to use this tag. This was one of the cut apart little embellishments that came with this kit, or this digital kit I should say. And I'm just going to use some of this binding, or I don't know if it's binding, it's some type of cool trim that came in the Above Park Crafts. And I'm just going to use this as my little topper here. Probably didn't need that much. And then we'll stick that in there, super cute, and that will be fun for like journaling or something like that. But of course I want to add a little bit more embellishing on the outside here. So I just love using fabrics and trims and laces onto the pages. So I'm going to use a little bit of washi tape, and I'm just going to kind of decorate this like so. Add a little bit of glue. And ooh, that's really pretty. I could just leave it like that. Yeah, we'll leave that one like that for, okay. And then let's go over, let's work on a blank page. However, if you want a lot more ideas for decorating like full pages, check out the 10-page idea video. Okay, so I think for this one, I'm just gonna keep this simple too. And I'm just gonna, this is one of the printables that came with the kit, and I'm just gonna make this into like a tuck spot. However, I want to add some actual trim to the top of it. I do like dressing up printables, obviously, but even for like a linen type of printable like this, I think it's fun to actually add in some like real elements. So I'm gonna go like that, and of course use the stapler, and then I'm just going to glue around the edges, and then this will just be a tuck spot. Okay. There we go. I'll go ahead and give you one more idea for what I like to do with white pages sometimes, because I like adding detail to like all of the white pages in a journal. But this is one of my favorite things. It is using a stencil and some ink. This is the Distress Oxide Cracked Pistachio, and I'm just going to be pretty random about this. I'm not going to do the full page, however you definitely could. I feel like this just adds some detail, and it's really quick and easy. And then you could also do some stamping, which would be really fun. But when I'm looking for like a quick and easy way to embellish a white page like this, I will just go ahead and take a little, or do a little stenciling, and then add just a piece of washi to the top or bottom of the page, like so. And then you're good to go, and there's lots of space for the recipient to use this page. For this page, I really love the like little graph here, and I find that these types of pages are really functional in a journal. So I'm going to keep this alone, or not do anything to it, and I'm going to take a piece of fabric that was in the Amore Fabrics little pack. Mine probably had a little bit different items than yours did, but there's definitely some fabric samples. And I'm just going to make this a little tip-in. I'm going to staple the top. You could glue or sew all the way across, like so. And then it's super fun because it's covered, but you can easily just pull that up and have like some secret journaling or memory keeping, like so. Okay, so let's do a couple more together because this is just fun. And let's see. I'm gonna go ahead and pick this one right here, and I think I know what I want to do. I'm gonna use one of the vintage book pages, and I'm gonna make a fun little flower. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start out by just ripping 3 circles, but you're gonna see they don't have to be like perfect circles at all. And in fact, you don't want it to be perfect really. So just like kind of circular type of shapes. And then you want your second one to be a little bit smaller than the first. And whoops. And then you'll want the third one to be even smaller. Okay, so now I find it to be fun to add a little bit of ink. You don't have to do this, but I think it adds a lot. And I would add brown or black, honestly whatever I had near me. I just have this one right here and it's my fave. Okay, so we're gonna go like that, just ink up the edges. I'll try to stay in frame here. And some of these vintage pages are pretty delicate, so you do just want to try to be a little careful so they don't rip while you're putting your flower together. And then you're gonna go ahead and kind of wrinkle them up, but again, if you have a really delicate paper, just be careful. And you can really just crumple it up if you want, whatever you are trying to go for. Okay, so I'm gonna go like that, and you're basically just gonna glue one inside the other all the way to the smallest one. And you could do this with like map pages, you could do this with book pages that have like illustrations. These are really fun to make. Okay, and then go like that. And then I'm going to put a little button in the middle. If you don't have a button, you could just use like another color of a paper or something like that. Then I think I'm just going to place this right at the top. However, let's go ahead and add a few more layers. Okay, we're going to just add some glue right across here. I'm even going to take a little bit of scrap paper. This is some vintage paper that Trina from Feed the Birdies sent. Oh my gosh, I can't talk. I'm going to put a little piece of lace on top of that, and then we'll just go ahead and add the flower right. I'm going to do it a little bit more into... There we go. So that's super fun. I really like that. I'm going to go ahead and decorate one more of the white pages with you guys. And so I just layered up a vintage book page with a few little textiles and button right there. And I'm going to turn this into a pocket. So again, you just need to glue around the 3 edges like that. And then I'm going to put it right there, and then we can put something like a tag inside like so. I also really like just clipping things on, like I guess like clipping on journaling cards and things like that on blank pages, so that it still looks like it has a little bit of detail, but really you can take it off and still have a lot of room to work. Just going to layer up some more trims and fabrics like so. Going to take this guest check and just take some washi tape, tape on one side, and then you have a fun little flip like that. And a lot of people ask how I use game pieces like this, like Pictionary pieces. So I honestly usually just go ahead and make layered embellishments, kind of like I've been doing throughout this decorating. But it's kind of nice because it's just a good base and you can make up a bunch in advance. So yeah, we're gonna do that. We're just gonna go ahead and layer on some different textures like so. You could also do stamping. There isn't really like one way that, you know, I do it. Like that, and then I'm gonna go ahead and then I like to use them basically as tuck spots. But I'm also gonna add a little bit of stenciling to this one, just kind of like up on the top here. I think that's showing through. Let's see. It didn't really work on that type of fabric too well, or yeah, but that's okay. And then we can basically add maybe a word or sentiment, and this is actually a book page that came in my little kit from Amore Fabrics. So what I think I'll do is, I could have just ripped this out, but I think I'm actually going to use this January word and kind of layer it on so that everything else shows, and then staple this on. Actually, you know what? I'm going to bring it up a little bit. I feel like I want those things to show. So yeah, I just like to make little tuck spots, and I want to cover up the favorite dishes here. So I'll just go ahead and glue this on the top. And then you can kind of tuck something up underneath it if you wanted to do that, like a little journaling card or something like that. I took a Rolodex card and just added a little bit of trim here, and I'm going to put this on the bottom of a page for a tuck spot. And then I did just get one more idea for a Pictionary piece. And I was thinking that if you wanted to make this into more of a journaling card, you could cover it with any type of paper that you like, so that you have this kind of fun vintage looking piece on one side, and then you could do your journaling on the other. So I kind of like that because I feel like, yeah, I feel like that's something you could really use. And then we can go ahead and just tuck that in that spot right there. Okay, now that I am done decorating my pages, I'm going to go ahead and mix these in with some other things. Some of the pages that came in the kit, I'm going to use the little bags and things like that. And if you want to see more ideas on page decorating and what I like to use to put together my pages, like my page formula, check those videos out on the playlist. I'm going to go ahead and put these together into signatures, and a signature is just simply a little booklet of folded pages inside one another. And I'm going to probably make 2 signatures. Okay, each of my signatures has 8 pages, and I can show you a full flip through at the end. Let's go ahead and bind these together and we will be complete. So go ahead and take some paper clips and have everything in order, and you want it to be super tight in your little pile here, and then go ahead and paper clip all the way around your pages. It can be a little tricky if you have bulky things like that flower, but just get everything in there as good as you can. The better that everything stays together while you're binding, the better it is going to turn out. Okay, so I have my little poker here because I don't know where my awl is, and then I have my binding thread. This, I'm using the type that I included in the kits. It's from Paper Source, and it is triple ply waxed linen thread. There we go. You want about 1.5 times the length, but I usually do about 2 because I would rather be safe than sorry and not run out. And then go ahead and thread your needle, and I just thread it through with a little extra, but I don't do a triple or a double thread. So I don't measure this part, but you're just going to go ahead and you want to poke a hole in the center or around the center, and then we're going to do one near the top and one near the bottom. I'm going to do it about 1 inch down from the top, but we might all have like different size of paper, so yeah, you just don't really need to measure this part because we're not actually sewing it into a hardcover. So you're gonna have 3 holes, and I'll just go ahead and do this one really quick. And having these holes pre-punched is going to help to make sure that you don't accidentally like sew into like somewhere on the cover or somewhere into your page where you don't want to. So go ahead and punch your holes. So we're just going to do a very easy pamphlet stitch. And so I have my needle threaded here, and for the pamphlet stitch, you're just simply going to sew out the middle hole, like so, and then pull it until you have a little bit extra. If you want to tape this down so it doesn't move, go ahead. And then we're going to sew back in through the top hole. And if you have everything held together really tight, it should just go right in. And then you're going to go back to the bottom hole and sew out there. And then you're going to go back through the center hole. And you want your end of your thread to be on the opposite side where you started. I try to show this quite a bit. So there's this center string and you want one end on one side and one on the other. And then go ahead and make sure everything's pulled tight and do a double knot. So I'm going to do the same pamphlet stitch to my other insert, and I'll show you how to put them into our traveler's notebook. Once your signatures are done, you can go ahead and place them into your traveler's notebook. So I will show you how to do that really quick in case you've never used one. Really, really simple. So you're just going to take your first notebook and open it to the center, and you're just going to slide it under this elastic right here. Just kind of go easy if you have pages decorated. There we go. And then you do the same for the second. And there we go. You can see it's nice and chunky, but you can still add more. And then I promised I would do a little flip through of the final book. So let's go ahead and just do this really quick. I hope that you guys got lots of ideas, and this one right here is made mostly, I think everything in here is actually from the kit. I can't remember if I really used anything that didn't come with the kit, but I'm pretty sure everything came in the kit. There might have been a few things that like you may have got one or the other, but I wanted to be able to show you, you know, as many ideas as I could. Fun little tip in, coffee dyed paper pockets. So yeah, I would love to see your creations, and I hope that when you guys are finished, you will share your links to videos if you share on a video, or your photos on Instagram, and be sure to tag me so that I can see. And you can also post them in the Junk Trunk Facebook group, because we would all love to get lots of ideas from each other. Okay guys, I will see you in the next video. Bye.